Hello everyone. Tonight I want to take you on a journey across a bridge that does not simply connect two sides of a river but two different realities. A place where countless stories of vanishings, strange sightings, and chilling whispers have been told for centuries. This bridge, hidden in the quiet folds of history, is not marked on ordinary maps, but those who live near it claim it has always been there, watching silently as travelers step onto its wooden planks and sometimes never return. They say when you set foot on this bridge at the wrong time of night, when the moonlight bends oddly and the mist clings to the ground like a living creature, you are no longer walking across stone and timber, you are stepping into another world. I first heard about this place from an old man who lived on the edge of a forgotten village. His voice trembled when he spoke, but his eyes glistened with the kind of fear that only comes from witnessing something no human mind is meant to comprehend. He said that when he was young, a group of friends dared each other to cross the bridge at midnight. They laughed, they shouted, they mocked the legends, but only 2 of them made it back. The others were swallowed by the fog halfway across, their screams muffled by the strange silence that fell, and then nothing. Their bodies were never found. Search parties combed the riverbanks, divers searched the waters, but there was no trace. No splash, no clothes left behind, no footprints returning. It was as if the bridge had simply reached out and taken them. Stories like these have been whispered for generations. Some say the bridge is cursed, built over a place where terrible rituals were once performed. Others believe it is not cursed at all, but a rift, a gateway between dimensions that sometimes opens when the veil between worlds grows thin. What terrifies me most is that the stories don't come from just one place. Bridges like this exist all over the world. Different countries, different legends, yet the same eerie pattern, people crossing and never returning. In Japan, there is the tale of a red bridge that appears only on nights when the air is heavy with rain. Travelers who step onto it feel their bodies grow lighter as if the ground beneath them is fading. Some describe hearing children's laughter from the mist. Others say they are pulled forward by invisible hands. If they manage to run back, they often find their shoes wet as if they had walked through a river, though the bridge itself is bone dry. In Romania, villagers whisper about an old stone bridge where time flows differently. People who crossed it claimed they saw strange skies, unfamiliar stars, and cities glowing in the distance. But when they came back, their families had aged decades while they felt only hours had passed. And then, closer to home, in forgotten countryside paths, there are bridges where locals refuse to tread after dark. Farmers say their cattle panic near these crossings, birds refuse to fly over them, and dogs howl endlessly at the invisible figures that pace the wooden planks at night. But perhaps the most chilling story of all is one I uncovered in an old journal hidden inside a library archive. The entry was dated 1897, written by a traveler whose name was smudged away by time. He described finding a bridge deep inside a forest he did not recognize, though he swore he had walked the path before. The bridge was unlike anything he had seen. Its ropes seemed woven from something organic, pulsing faintly as though alive, and the wood beneath his feet vibrated with every step. He said he felt compelled to walk across, not by choice, but as if something was calling him. Halfway through, the world changed. The stars above rearranged themselves, the air grew thick, and the trees on the other side were taller, darker, and humming with an energy that did not belong to our earth. He claimed he saw figures, all thin silhouettes waiting for him on the far end. That was the last page. The journal ended abruptly, no further entries, no note of his return. Legends often have roots, small fragments of truth buried in folklore, and what unsettles me most is that these bridges are not bound to one culture or one century. They keep appearing in stories, in myths, and in reports of missing persons that remain unsolved to this day. It makes you wonder, what if these are not simply tales to frighten children, but warnings handed down in the only way people knew how? I spoke to a man once who claimed he lost his brother to such a bridge. His voice cracked as he told me about the night they went walking, curious about the rumors. He remembered the way the air grew still, the crickets stopped singing, and the fog rolled in like a living wall. His brother laughed at the fear, stepped onto the planks, and waved before disappearing into the mist. Just like that. One moment he was there, the next he was gone, as though he had walked behind a curtain no one else could see. The man waited, called his name, even went a few steps forward, but something inside him screamed not to follow. To this day, he says he hears his brother's voice when he passes near the bridge, calling faintly from somewhere beyond. It is these stories that haunt me, because whether you believe them or not, people vanish. Families wait for loved ones who never come home, and sometimes all that remains is the echo of footsteps fading into the night. And so the question lingers. If there truly are bridges that lead somewhere else, where do they go? Are they doorways into other dimensions, where our world and another overlap for just a sliver of time? Or are they traps, built by forces that feed on the curiosity and courage of those who dare to cross? If you ever find yourself standing before an old bridge in the quiet of night, when the air is heavy and the silence feels unnatural, remember these words. Remember the voices of those who walked before you and never returned, and ask yourself, would you risk crossing just to know what lies on the other side? Because once you take that step, you may never come back. And so, the thought of crossing lingers in your mind like a whisper that refuses to fade. But what if someone already has? What if those who vanished on these bridges are not lost at all, but living on the other side, trapped between worlds, watching us without being able to return? That idea haunted me for weeks as I dug deeper into forgotten accounts, old police reports, and the hushed voices of locals who dared to speak. One story came from a small mountain village where an ancient wooden bridge stretched over a ravine. People believed the bridge was cursed because every decade, without fail, someone disappeared upon crossing it. It was always the same pattern on misty nights. A traveler would vanish in plain sight, often with witnesses watching helplessly from the other side. Some villagers believed the bridge demanded a soul every 10 years, a sacrifice that allowed it to remain standing, as if it were alive. The strangest detail in their accounts was what happened afterward. Sometimes, days or even weeks later, villagers would hear faint footsteps echoing on the empty planks. No one dared to step onto the bridge, but they swore they could hear someone pacing back and forth, as if a ghostly presence was still searching for a way home. I read another account from a young woman who claimed she had crossed such a bridge and returned, though her story was fragmented and unsettling. She described walking late at night after leaving a gathering with friends. She had drunk a little, enough to dull her senses, and when she saw the bridge she thought nothing of it. But halfway across she realized the air around her had grown unnaturally cold. The sounds of the night, frogs, insects, even the rustle of trees, vanished all at once. She continued forward, but the path seemed longer than it should have been. When she finally reached the far side, she found herself in a place she did not recognize. The sky was dark, but glowing faintly, as if lit from within. The stars above were wrong, strange constellations she had never seen. The trees were taller, their trunks glistening with veins of silver light. She panicked and turned back, sprinting across the bridge, and when she emerged, her friends were waiting, angry that she had been gone for hours. But to her, it felt like only minutes. She swore that when she glanced back, the bridge looked different, longer, narrower, and fading into mist. She never spoke of it again, except in a quiet interview recorded years later, her voice trembling as if she was still afraid of being pulled back. Perhaps the most disturbing detail across so many of these stories is the sound people hear. Almost everyone mentions whispers. They start soft, almost like the wind, then grow clearer as you move across. Sometimes they call your name, Sometimes they laugh like children, and other times they plead, begging you to turn back. It's as if the bridge itself, or whatever waits on the other side, knows who you are. Skeptics, of course, claim it's just imagination. Old bridges creak, the wind howls, the fog plays tricks. But I've spoken with those who swear by what they've seen, and the terror in their eyes cannot be dismissed as simple stories. One man told me he had followed his missing wife onto such a bridge. He said she had been acting strangely in the weeks before, drawn to the place as if something was calling her. That night, she walked across without hesitation. He shouted, ran after her, but the mist rose quickly and swallowed her whole. He could hear her voice, faint and desperate, calling from the other side. When he reached the middle, however, the boards beneath him groaned and the air felt heavy, pressing against his chest. Fear overtook him, and he ran back. To this day, he regrets it. He wonders if he had gone just a little further, would he have found her, or would he, too, have vanished into that unknown world? The idea of bridges as thresholds between worlds is not new. Ancient myths are filled with them. The rainbow bridge of Norse legend that connected mortals to the realm of the gods, or the stone bridges in Celtic tales that only appeared during certain phases of the moon, leading into the land of the Fae. Perhaps these myths are not mere fantasy but warnings echoing from long ago, reminders that not all paths are meant to be crossed. What unsettles me most is that modern accounts keep happening. Even in our age of technology, people still vanish in ways that defy explanation. Families report loved ones missing after crossing rural footbridges. Authorities label it as accidents or runaways, but the patterns remain too strange to ignore. In one case, security cameras were installed to monitor a bridge known for disappearances. The footage showed a man walking across late at night. He reached the middle, paused, and then simply faded. The image glitched, static filled the screen, and when it cleared, the bridge was empty. No splash in the water, no movement, nothing. Investigators called it a camera malfunction, but the timing was too perfect, too coincidental. If these stories are true, then perhaps these bridges are not accidents of architecture or tricks of the imagination. Perhaps they are scars in reality, thin places where our world brushes against another. For most, the crossing is ordinary, but for the unlucky few, the veil parts, and they step into something else. Something we are not meant to see. I sometimes wonder what becomes of those who vanish. Do they find a world where time flows differently, where familiar faces never existed, where strange cities rise beneath alien skies? Or do they wander endlessly, trapped in a limbo between here and there, their voices carried back only as whispers through the fog? The thought chills me, because if they can see us, hear us, then they are not gone. They are imprisoned, calling out for help we can never give. There is one last account I must share, one that still unsettles me deeply. A hiker in Scotland wrote in his journal about discovering an old stone bridge while exploring the Highlands. He felt drawn to it, though he could not say why. As he stepped onto the first stones, he heard faint voices urging him forward. He described an overwhelming feeling of peace, as though something was promising him answers on the other side. He resisted, turned back, but curiosity pulled at him. On his final entry, he wrote, "Tonight I will cross. If I do not return, know that I have gone where I was always meant to be." His body was never found. His backpack, however, was discovered weeks later, resting neatly at the far side of the bridge. So if you ever find yourself walking home and stumble upon a bridge you do not recognize, standing silent in the mist, stop and listen. If the air grows still, if the night goes silent, and if whispers curl softly around your ears, calling your name, turn back. Do not look across, do not take another step, because once you do, you may find yourself in a place where our world no longer exists, and the path back is gone forever. And remember, not all bridges are meant to be crossed. Some are doorways waiting for the next soul brave or foolish enough to step through.